Hello, my name is Maya K. Welcome to my channel where I talk about reality TV and more. Today we're going to be talking about Season 5, Episode 1 of Unexpected. And this episode is called Got Another Girl Pregnant. And in the beginning of the first episode, we get introduced to 17-year-old Kylan and 18-year-old Jason, which they are new to the franchise. And Kylan is 32 weeks pregnant and is having a baby boy. They've been dating for almost a year, and they met through Snapchat, where she had asked for a Snapchat for a friend, but it was actually for her, and it bloomed their relationship. And Jason says that Kylan was a party girl and he was an F-boy. And the producer asks, what is an F-boy? And he explains a F-boy is, and if you're a part of TikTok or just urban culture, you know what an F-boy is. And I just thought it was hilarious. And he says an F-boy is someone who has a relationship with multiple girls. And after he says that, he says him and Kylan had sex after only 2 or 3 days of being with each other, which that's crazy to think about, because I don't even see how you can be that comfortable with someone after only being with them for 2 or 3 days. But continuing on, and he says he was happy about her being pregnant and that he wasn't planning on getting her pregnant, but he was happy about it. Then they go into how he doesn't like to use condoms and how he's a professional raw dogger, which is obviously wrong, because if he was, then his girlfriend would not be sitting here pregnant. Then in the confessional, they sit down with Jason's parents, Heidi and Scott, and they talk about how he is a rebellious child and does whatever he wants and dropped out of school and is a wild child. Jason's mom found out that Kylan was pregnant through a card. There's actually a TikTok of it. I'm going to try to insert it at some point. And his parents say that they were supportive, but they're worried because they do not know what comes along with raising a child. Jason and Kylan and his parents were sitting outside eating pizza, and Jason says that they want to do a home birth, which a home birth is where you're at home and a midwife is on the side of you while you're like in this pool or bathtub and you give birth. And the reason why Jason wants to do a home birth is because he feels like doctors and the people around the office discriminate against unmarried men and teen dads because they feel like they're just gonna leave. And he uses air quotations, so yeah, which I don't think it's right to discriminate against people because they're unmarried or they're teenagers. But if that is true, I would understand why he would feel like that. But it's also not up to him really, because he's not the one who's going to be in labor and pushing a child out of them. In the confessional, Kylan says how she doesn't know how she feels about doing a home birth, which I understand because giving birth to a child is a pretty intense thing to go through, and it's important to be around people who know what they're doing in case something goes wrong. They can solve it. But she really doesn't express that to Jason. She kind of just laughs it off or shut down, and we'll see that continuously happen as the episode goes on. And I also think she's kind of afraid of Jason. I know that's kind of a reach since it's just the first episode, but we'll see how this plays out. And they're continuing to sit down and eat and enjoy their afternoon. Jason mentions how home birth is going to be $3,000, which that is expensive, and I feel like you shouldn't have to pay to give birth to a child. But continuing on, his parents say that they will help him if he helps himself, which I think that's amazing, because I know there's plenty of parents who would just throw their kids to the wolves if they put themselves in that situation. And in the confessional, Jason's parents say he has a lot of growing up to do, which he seems like he's a know-it-all, but he's 18, so he's at that point in his life where he thinks he knows it all and you can't tell him anything. And his parents talk about how things are expensive, like rent is expensive, car notes are expensive, water bills are expensive, etc. And Jason says there's a lot of teen parents that get rich and make a lot of money, which I really don't know what he was referring to, rather with social media or just in general. But I guess that's what he thinks is going to happen once Unexpected debuts and he'll become like some social media star. But Jason seems kind of delusional, I guess is the best way I can put it. because his parents are trying to tell him like things are gonna cost, and at the end of the day it's a big responsibility, but he doesn't want to hear it and just wants to be a know-it-all. Next we move on to Lily and Lawrence. Lily was on season 1, 4, and now 5 with her fiance Lawrence, and they have a child together named LJ, which is an abbreviation of Lawrence's name. So their baby is named after Lawrence, so he's a junior. And also, Lily has a daughter named Aaliyah, which she had with her previous boyfriend, and the relationship did not end up working out. But now in the new season, Lily is engaged and they're moving into their own place, and they're really excited. And as they're talking about moving to their own place, this really funny scene happens where Aaliyah, her 3-year-old daughter, wants to get a water slide that is $500. And Lily's card is on like Aaliyah's iPad, and she almost buys this $500 water slide, which I thought it was just a really funny and cute scene that I would mention. But as we go on to the confessional, Lily talks about how 15-year-old Lily expected 20-year-old Lily to be really rich, catching flights, not really having a real job or doing anything, and having no responsibilities. And fast forward to actual 20-year-old Lily, she's 20 with 2 kids and a fiance, but she says that she loves her life and would have traded for anything. And I feel like that's how a lot of people feel regarding to like what younger them thought they were going to be doing, not specifically about the child part and getting married, but a lot of people say that like younger them would not imagine what older them is doing now. And going back to their house, Lily's mom and her stepdad sit down and have a talk about how moving out is expensive because they need TVs, kitchen stuff, living room furniture, and Lawrence says he didn't realize how expensive it was going to be. And they also talk about how they're finally going to actually have a wedding soon because now they don't have to come home to Lily's mom's house after their wedding, which I think that's really exciting, and I hope we follow Lily's journey far enough to where we could see her wedding. And after that, they say they hope moving goes really well and smooth, and I hope it does for them because moving is a hassle. Next, we get introduced to Emerson and Mason. Emerson is 18 and is 34 weeks pregnant, and we also meet Emerson's mom, Erica, who is 42 years old. And Erica found out that Emerson was pregnant when she was in her 2nd trimester of being pregnant, so she said it was a little overwhelming for her and her daughter being pregnant at the same time, which I can imagine how overwhelming that can be because you have a teenage daughter who is pregnant that you are still legally responsible for, and you have to make sure she's at doctor's appointments and make sure she's okay on top of making sure you're okay. So I hope her pregnancy went really smooth and it wasn't too overwhelming since Emerson was still in her early trimester. Emerson was a rebellious child. She stuck out. She got her belly button pierced when she wasn't allowed to, and she was eating the devil's lettuce. And she was doing all these things, and it made her have a bad relationship with her mom and stepdad. And things got so bad with Emerson's actions that they took the door down and they sent her to a private military school, but because COVID happened, she never ended up going, and then she ended up getting pregnant. So I'm sure Emerson was happy about that, and her mom says it's hard to trust when you're constantly being lied to because Emerson would lie, sneak out. But now Emerson and her mother say that they have a good relationship now that she's pregnant and not being rebellious. Emerson found out that she was pregnant while she was on a camping trip with Mason, who was 17, and they met through social media because he played guitar and she also liked playing guitar, and that drew her towards him because she likes people who have the same interest as her. And their relationship was online for 5 months because of COVID and because of Emerson's mom saying that she couldn't go over there because he could kidnap you, which what her mom's saying isn't a lie, but it's just funny to me because that can happen anywhere, just not when she goes to meet up with a random person she met from the internet, but it is probably more highly likely to happen. But continuing on, Erica says that she is not eager to meet Mason's family because she feels like Mason's family is the reason why Emerson got pregnant, because over Mason's house there aren't any strict rules. But I guess at Erica's house she has strict rules, and she feels like Mason stole Emerson's future, which I highly disagree with because Mason did not get her pregnant alone. She participated in the same act as he did that got them in this spot. So Emerson is also the reason why she got pregnant, and it's a 50-50 thing. So I don't think it's fair that she blames Mason for her daughter getting pregnant because it happened under his roof. I just don't think it's fair. And they're gonna sit down and have dinner and talk about it because their families have not really had much interaction since Emerson got pregnant, so a conversation is definitely needed. Next, we move on to Tara and Alex, which they are returning because they are on season 3, 4, and now 5. They have a 2-year-old daughter named Layla. Layla is in her terrible twos, which they show some clips of Layla being bad, tearing up stuff, being messy, and Tara says that when she's being bad, she tells Layla that I'm gonna call you a new mommy, and then Layla starts screaming saying, no, you're my mommy. And I thought that was so cute and so funny. And Tara says that her and Layla have a better relationship now that she's not going back and forth to college. Because in the last season, she went to college and 2 hours away, she had to leave Layla with Alex and Alex's grandmother. And it was hard for her because she didn't like leaving Layla, but it was necessary for her to go to school. But now she feels a lot better about having her daughter with her every day now that she goes to a closer college. And her and Alex's relationship was also rocky at a point because of the distance, and it was putting a strain on their relationship because she was over 2 hours away and they would go more than a month without seeing each other, and she transferred to a closer college, like I said, so she could be closer. And a lot of people may ask why she just didn't go to a closer college at first, but she did like a live, I believe, or it was either like in her comments on an Instagram post or something. She said that the school she went to was offering her a better situation to go to school there than a closer school. And I get why she made the decision that she made, because when you want to go to college and you have to take care of a child, that's a big financial strain on you. So it kind of already puts you in a compromising situation. But going back to what I was saying, her and Alex moved in together 7 months ago and everything was going fine and smooth until a couple of months ago. So her mom came over so they could talk about what's going on in Tara and Alex's relationship, because Alex has started cheating, and you can actually go find the girl he's been cheating with, because the situation that happened between Alex and Tara when they first broke up, it kind of played on social media. So if you do enough digging, I'm pretty sure you can find the girl, but I'm not going to say the girl's name on here because I don't want her to sue me or anything. So, but back to my point, she was talking to her mom and she mentioned how she doesn't know when Alex and this girl started talking, but he ended up telling her that he wanted to do her own thing, and Tara said that he had not said anything about it because they were still sleeping in the same bed and still having a romantic relationship. But Alex says that he had been telling her for months that he wanted to do his own thing, but Tara says that he never said that. She continues to say that Alex should have told her that before they got a house together, because once you get a house together and you have a lease, it makes everything more complicated. So I agree with that. And as Tyra's continuing to talk with her mom, Tyra brings up how they were together last night and they had to heart and his phone started going off. So he stepped out of the house and answered the phone call, then came back in because it was his other girlfriend. But later that night, Tyra got a phone call from this other girl saying how, like, the girl knows they didn't do anything, they're just co-parenting, which is obviously not true, because then her mom asks her when's the last time her and Alex had intercourse, and she literally says last night. And Tyra says the girl is dumb if she thinks nothing happened, which it's funny because Tyra is kinda in that same boat, I guess you can say. of being played and manipulated by Alex because he's telling them both what they want to hear. And actually, supposedly, the other girlfriend is supposed to be pregnant with a boy, so I don't know if that's true or not, but allegedly Alex is supposed to be moving down there with the girl. The girl does not live in Kentucky. She lives in the southern part of America. I don't know if it's safe to say what state she lives in, so I'm just not gonna say it. And this was filmed a couple of months ago, so I don't know if he's moved down there or not. I don't follow Alex or keep tracks on him, so I don't know. If you do, let me know. But in the confessional, Tyra says that she can't tell Alex no, and Alex can't tell her no, which does not seem like a healthy habit, because it kind of seems like there would be no boundaries if you can't tell each other no. But it's also not my relationship, so I'm not sure how it worked, or if there's boundaries or if there's not. But from the looks of it, it seems like there's not. But like I said, it's not my relationship, and nor am I there every day. But hopefully the situationship can get better. Going back around to Emerson and her mom and Mason's dad and his siblings sit down at the dinner table at Erica's house to talk about what they're going to do when the baby gets here, because Mason lives an hour away and they need to figure out a schedule. And Erica doesn't really trust Mason's family because she feels like she doesn't know them, and she feels uncomfortable with Emerson and her grandchild being around people who she doesn't know. So that's the point of this dinner, to get comfortable around each other and get to know each other. And while they're at dinner, they don't really figure out a situation. They just kind of have small talk, I guess you could call it, because Mason's dad works from home at the moment, but in another month he's gonna go back to his job working in person. So they didn't really come to a conclusion, but I don't think they ever will throughout that season. And in the final scene of the episode, we come back around to Kylan and Jason, and they're sitting down with Jason's parents watching a home birth video. Jason says that it's dumb that they're watching this video because they already know what they need to know about a home birth. But I think Jason only knows what conveniences him, and I don't think Kylan knows a whole lot, simply for the fact that she hasn't said much about it and really hasn't pushed for it. And they're watching the home birth video, which it kind of grossed me out because the lady's placenta is like sitting in the pool that she gave birth in, and TLC didn't show too much of it, and they blurred out the placenta, but you could still see it, and it was kind of too much for me, and it grossed me out. And Jason was also grossed out by it because he said that he's gonna look away when Kylan is like in labor, and that way, and he'll look as much as he can, which obviously he did not do that much research, because he would have known that that's gonna happen. And when you're at the hospital, they cover that up and they make sure other people don't see that part. But when you're at a home birth, you see that. And after Kylan's seen that video, she doesn't think she wants to do the home birth anymore because she doesn't think that she'll handle the pain well. And also on her side of the family, they have more complications doing birth, which it's her decision at the end of the day. So how he feels really doesn't matter that much when it comes down to rather she has the baby at the hospital or at home. And Jason is upset that Kylan doesn't want to have a home birth, which I don't think she wanted to have one from the jump. I think she just went along with it to shut him up. And she tries to explain to Jason why she wants to have her baby at the hospital, because she doesn't want complications to happen since her family's more prone to that happening. And Jason says that just because your family had a painful birth doesn't mean you are, and you have a painless birth, which is true, but I don't think he understands the complexity of going into labor and having a child. And Jason's dad, Scott, says that he's a know-it-all and it doesn't like to listen to anybody and take any advice from anyone besides himself. And as the episode is closing out, Kylan says that she just wants a real doctor in there. in case anything goes wrong. And he says nothing's going to go wrong and everything's going to be fine. And that's why I say he does not understand the complexity of going into labor and having a child. Because if he would have done as much research as he said he's done, he would have known that labor and having a child is quite literally the most painful thing a person can go through other than kidney stones, and that there's so many things that can go wrong, like the baby's umbilical cord can be wrapped around the baby's neck, or the baby can stop breathing, that he doesn't know how to fix, nor anyone around them. So that's why it's important that there's at least a midwife or some type of doctor there. And he continues to say that he'll be more comfortable having a home birth, but this isn't about him. In this case, he is not the one pushing out the child, so I feel like his opinion should not matter that much. And that was the end of the episode. It looks like it's going to be a really good season, and I'm excited for the rest of the season. And I hope you enjoyed. Comment, like, subscribe if you want, and I hope you have a good day, good night, good evening. And that's it. Bye.